1, 2, 3.
Hello, welcome to Rock the Cash Bar. I'm Ben Mowbray.
And I'm Diane Gallagher.
Every week we pick one song and do a deep dive into the lyrics and explain the different ways they've been interpreted.
We will also discuss how the song connected to us on a personal level, focusing on all the embarrassing details.
Glad to have you here. Enjoy the show. There is a Patreon level where I will take you downtown to buy drugs. That's a fact.
How much are we charging for that?
We're not charging anything for that. It's complimentary. There's no service fees or anything like that. It's an appreciation. It's an appreciation. Thank you for listening. Yes, I will take you down to the dispensary. You're welcome.
Have you just recently gone?
I don't know if we must have talked about it on the podcast probably a couple of times now. I think that's probably where our Patreon member heard about it. But yeah, I got a text from a Patreon member saying, "Hey, I need you to hook me up." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then we did like some like back and forth, like weird coded language via text because the FBI is always listening. Like, oh, okay, yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, we can do that. We can also speak freely about it. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the place we're talking about is so close to the police station. People were like, "How are they getting away with this?" I'm like, "Because no one cares anymore."
Yeah.
The cops probably know and are customers. Yeah.
It was an awful lot of fun. I felt like a bad boy, even though I'm a nice, shy, and retiring type. I was just like, yes, absolutely. I will take you to the bad side of town, and we'll go pick up some fun stuff for you.
Did you do it? You get some fun stuff?
He did get some fun stuff. Yes, okay. They did get some fun stuff. Let's keep it vague.
Vague.
No identities.
Okay. I got a bunch of fun stuff there for my father-in-law for Christmas. I mean, how bad can it be if I'm buying this for Christmas presents for my father-in-law who is retired?
My mom and dad are probably listening, and one of my things that I would really like for them to do, now that their kids have all left and everything like that, I would really like for them to do mushrooms together. I think that would be a lot of fun for them just to sit in the backyard and reflect over more than 45 years together.
Warm, fuzzy feelings. It's all like love and connection on mushrooms. Like, it's fine. It's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Totally encourage it, mom and dad. Could set it up for you if you want. Just letting you know.
Just letting you know. Last time I went to the place, they had these little chocolate mushrooms. They were very, very weak. I need to take like 2. And they were out, and they said they're getting more in January. Did you see some when you were there?
No, I didn't ask.
Okay.
I'm sure that they will, though. Don't worry, they're going to replenish. Check your text messages. They let you know when all of the arts are back in all of their sizes. They'll let you. Right. Hey, Merry Christmas. We're continuing our Christmas tradition, our new Christmas tradition of doing Christmas songs all through December. You chose last Christmas, the greatest Christmas pop song of all time. And we had a good time talking about devoted artist George Michael and his life and loves. We're not going to do that this week. No. This week is Mistress for Christmas by AC/DC.
You know what's crazy is I was like, how did you find this? And then I was like, it's on the Razor's Edge album, the same one with Thunderstruck. Everyone
I didn't realize that. I figured that it was because all I did was I just Googled Christmas rock songs because I wanted to go like off the beaten path. I didn't want to do like Mariah Carey or anything like that. So I wanted to find weird ones. When I saw Mistress for Christmas by AC/DC, I went, "Oh, that'll be fun to torture Diane with."
Yeah.
Fun to torture our listeners with. I'll be an absolute dipshit reading these lyrics for sure. I will.
I want to say in the research, which isn't much on the research of the song, there's lots of research on AC/DC, but I don't know if you were waiting to drop this bomb, but I want to drop it in the beginning because I want people to have this in mind while we're reading this. This is a quote from Angus Young. In a February 1991 interview with Guitar World, Angus Young stated, "I think the funniest song on this album is Mistress for Christmas. That song's about Donald Trump."
Whoa!
He was big in the news at the time, so we thought we'd have a bit of fun and humor with it. And I was like, you think he was big in the news in 1991?
If I'd known that, I might not have picked it. If I discovered that in the little bit of research that I did, I also probably would have called you and be like, "Yeah, we got to pick something else."
No, I like it. I think it's fun that he's like, this is funny and this is a joke and this is the kind of guy that would do these things in this lyric. And I'm like, Guess what? I want to be the ghost of Christmas future and go to Angus Young. And I'm like, you're never going to believe what I have to say to you.
I mean, enough has been said about that guy. You don't need my opinion on it. I think you can
Right.
probably guess how I feel about him. But I do think that his appeal to people is that he is just that. Is it id or super ego? What's the one where it's just the absolute center of it's just what I want physically and emotionally at all times.
Me and Corbin were just talking about the id and the ego and the super ego, and I'm like, I think it's the super ego. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know which one it is, but either way, like I think that's what his appeal is. It's just like he's just man unleashed.
I want to like go back and tell Angus, and he'd be like, "Well, how does he do?" I'm like, exactly how you think. He gets impeached twice. He invokes a insurrection. It's a no. It's 4 years of garbage.
4 years of brain melting, brain breaking garbage.
Depending on who you are, if you voted for him, you were delighted somehow.
Nonpartisanly, I really do. Like obviously he's broken Democrats' brains and hurt our souls, but he's done the same thing to right wingers as well. Like
And kind of messed up their party a little bit.
yeah, I mean it's just a question of whether you like the damage or you don't.
Yeah.
The damage is getting done to you. Anyway, enough of that. We're talking about Mistress for Christmas by AC/DC. There'll be plenty of artists and bands where we can walk down into those waters, wade out into those waters.
Yep.
Jingle bells, Diane. Jingle bells, jingle all the day. I just can't wait for Christmas Day when I can roll you in the hay.
That's not what the lyric I have.
No, that's like it's like the opening sort of like spoken, sort of it's like underneath.
No, I have grope you in the hay.
Oh yeah, where I can grope you in the hay. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's much. Yeah, it's definitely a little more raw than that. I guess I'm reading this. It also appeared in a Disney movie. It was in a Pixar film.
We're gonna have very different lyrics, I think.
I mean, this one out for the Incredible 7, I think.
That's funny.
Easy come, easy go. Have a good time with lots of dough. Yeah. Okay. Well, now you put the Donald Trump angle on it.
I know. I told you. I want to have someone come on who can read these lyrics with the Donald Trump impression.
I didn't think there was any way that you could make this song like more gross, like instantaneous. Holy shit! Did you ever do it? Diane's over here. Let's pour some flammable lube on this thing.
You wanted to do this song. Let's do this song.
I know it's all my fault. I did it to myself.
Funny.
Slipping up high, slipping down low. That's kind of a Queen sort of thing, isn't it? Little high, little low.
Yeah, you're right.
Easy go, little high, little low. He's definitely having a little bit of cheeky fun right there.
I do. Now, yeah.
But don't miss out on the it's not even a sex metaphor. It's the single entendre. He's slipping up high, he's slipping down low, Diane.
I'm okay with it.
He wants to be entertained by all of his ladies' attributes. Did I say that soft enough?
I think we have the nice PG visual.
We could be a little more frank about it. We really could, if we want to do. I think he wants to put it in her mouth.
In her butt. In her butt. You're like, that's not, Diane, you went too far. That's not the
Love them and leave them on with the show. Yes.
Okay. Now, that's a popular thing for a dude to feel, I think, especially a rock star.
He's not interested in love and connection. What he's interested in is the physical release that only a lady can provide.
Yes. I ain't talking about love. Back to something.
We're not talking about exchanging your physical gifts for your emotional needs. Wait, what am I trying to say here? Or his physical needs for your emotional needs.
Right.
I'm having a hard time. Hang on a second. Bring me some scratch paper. Bring me some diagram paper. All right. I like the female form in minimum dress.
Okay. Poetic. That's a poetic way of saying I like naked girls.
Exactly.
Almost naked girls.
He's getting down to brass tacks, I'm sure he was like thumbing through Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman and wondering like this is beautiful. It's resounding. It echoes through my soul, but I wonder if he could put it a little more plainly.
He was laying under a tree next to a babbling brook while writing the lyrics to Mistress for Christmas.
Listen, I like female form and minimum dress.
Nailed it.
Maybe it's the 25-year-old Armagnac talking, but I've got money to spend with a capital S.
That's funny.
That is now. I mean, that is such a Trumpian thing to
I
say.
know.
Standing behind the podium.
Well, that's the thing I wanted to point out. Once I found out they said they were writing this with Trump in mind, they come across most of their songs as very like blue collar workers. Even though they're these famous musicians, they connect with like the working man, and it's almost like they are, when we get further in the song, it's like it's them watching a guy like Donald Trump or anyone with lots of money and the ability to do these things with kind of like, I want that. I want that life. I want to be able to do that. This blue collar guy here can't do that.
Yeah, it's definitely wish fulfillment. It'll totally come down to that for sure. Get a date with the woman in red. Want to be in heaven with 3 in a bed. Ooh, and
Christmas. Yeah, Christmas greedy.
I've always wondered about the because Diane, I don't mean to disappoint you, but I sometimes will look at pornography, and that's been going on for a long time now. You know,
you better get right with Jesus. Christmas is in like 2 weeks.
I know. I'm trying to cleanse my soul of the whole thing. But there would be every December of the magazines, there would be issues where the women would be dressed like Santa's little helpers or waiting under the tree like elves and everything like that. And it didn't really do anything for me. Like adding Christmas to sex and sexuality was like, I don't what.
You have an aversion to any holiday being added to, like, I mean, Halloween I think is fun for anybody.
For sure. I was going to say, yeah, obviously Halloween. I don't want you to dress up like a turkey, Diane. Not like
no
you did.
Turkeys? No, those little things on my hand the little turkeys wear.
Oh, that was embarrassing for both of us.
It's funny because I was in Galveston this weekend. I went to Dickens on the Strand, and I went into this one shop that had lingerie, and the mannequin out in front was wearing a little Christmas, like in the Mean Girls, what they're wearing when they do Jingle Bell Rock, but with like panties. And I took a picture of it and was considering it. And I'm like, no, nobody's asking for this.
I don't know where it comes from. I was thinking about it as we were going over this song, and I really think that it must be like a real like dad fantasy. When you're like you're stressing the holidays. Did you get the right gifts? Are they going to like it? I imagine, I remember torturing my parents when I was like a real young kid because you'd tell them what you wanted from Santa. And then 2 weeks later, you change your mind and be like, it's too late. We already sent the letter to Santa.
Santa already went shopping. Yeah.
I could totally see it being like a super dude fantasy where you're just like stressed the living hell out from the holidays. And all you can imagine is, what if there was a sex nymph in one of those boxes? Like, is there any way? Like, is it possible? Would you put a sexy elf in a box for me, please? That's the only thing I want.
I'm still thinking of like every holiday. Like, what's your President's Day sexy outfit? This is fun.
I don't know. I don't mean to be gross, but so many of my formative experiences started off with a young lady in an Olive Garden uniform. So I do kind of have a thing for ladies in white shirts and ties.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's where that came from.
And I don't want to get too personal, but there's someone I know very well that lives in my house that really likes that really likes the baseball socks and the 80s short shorts with the little line on the side and roller skates, like that whole 70s.
That makes sense. I mean, Charlie's 8 years old. Like,
He did ask for roller skates for Christmas.
Right. He got it. I want it. They got it. I can't have it. There you go. Yeah, that is very Trump Towery.
Yep.
I can definitely see the boys from AC/DC looking at like the real estate spreads of Donald Trump's gilded Trump Tower penthouse with the floor to ceiling windows 100 stories up over Manhattan. And imagine what it's like to stand in all your glory in front of your 2 sex elves and the whole city of New York
Yep.
feeling your sex power. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's exactly. Yeah, I mean, when you don't know that this song is written with, and it doesn't have to be Donald Trump, anyone who's rich and powerful and, in mind, the song takes on a whole new meaning. You look at it completely different as someone like, I want that. I want the ability to have that at a snap of my fingers and
I
get it.
didn't think of it as any kind of like specific jealousy or jealousy of any one person or even one class of person. Like I just thought of it as just like the typical dude situation of if you're not having sex right now, why not?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What has gone so horribly wrong
Yeah.
that I have to be fully dressed and at work? This is bullshit. I want the woman in red on the end of my bed. Damn it.
Yes, I have to go to the cheapest bar I know to go to with little money that I have and find like the cheapest woman who maybe will do it, but that's not really what I had in mind.
I think maybe the hardest I've ever made anybody laugh was I was working a daytime bar shift at a very, very quiet place. It was like a Monday afternoon, so I made almost no money whatsoever. And when the lady came in to relieve me, I just like counted up everything and I just turned to her and I just said, I'm going to go find myself a lady who appreciates a man who makes $35 a day.
You know what's so funny? It kind of ties into this. Back for like a whole month, when I was in college, I worked, and we've talked about this before, but I worked as a waitress at a strip club. And I just thought, it was between semesters of college, and I was like, I'll make so much money for Christmas. And it was day shift. They have career waitresses there. The whole system is meant for you to fail as a new waitress, and they'd rather you just dance instead. That's where the money is. But I made no money, and there was a day that I came home with $9.
What?
I beat you $9.
Oh
And I was
my
like,
God.
and I had to stand all day. You're only allowed to sit if like, someone wants you to sit with them and they'll buy you a drink or whatever.
Right.
And I just remember being like, what? I should be working at Denny's. Like, this is not worth it. What am I doing?
$9.
Yep. Well,
Okay,
the
this
way
strip
it
club.
works there is it's not a restaurant and I'm not a bartender and it's not like you have assigned sections that basically when a guy comes in, you have to run up there and be like, can I seat you? And then if you do that, they're yours. But these guys are all regulars, day shift, and they're trained to be like, no, I'm with Lonnie. No, I'm with Sonia. And so you're just failing all day long. You can't get anybody, and it sucks.
It's just a hardcore hustle.
Uh-huh.
I
I was
want to
like,
get. I have a friend who recently, like in the last couple of years, started working as a strip club DJ, and he's got great stories. He's kind of funny because he looks like he cultivates it, but he looks like he should be a strip club DJ, but he sure doesn't act like it. But
no, I know what you're talking about. No, it doesn't make sense at all.
one of the straight up nicest guys. I would love to get him on to start to talk about the perfect stripper song, and then just go into like all of the little hustles that must happen in a place like that.
Yeah, we should because I remember, I mean, it was 20 years ago when I was there, but I'm sure not much has changed. And
Anything's changed. That's what like the hipster bartender in me often thinks about the titty bar. Just like, how do we change that? Like, this is no longer your granddad's titty bar. We'll turn it on their heads, and all of a sudden, like the ticket takers and the bouncers, like, that's not what we do here. What would we change? Obviously, stage fees have got to go.
oh yeah, yeah, I forgot
Um,
about that.
I mean, I have no idea what the strip club economy is. Like, if you say there's no stage fees, well, then how are you going to stay open? Like, is that? It's probably, but I would imagine that's how you attract the best talent.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes down in there that we probably shouldn't talk about on here.
I'm making a note. New age titty bar. New
I
economy titty bar? What are we going to call this thing?
I learned so much in my time there, and I want to know what's changed in 20 years, if anything.
I don't think so. I think all the body parts are still more or less in the same place,
Yeah.
just about the same shape.
Yeah, there were things about having to like you would have to wear pasties over your nipples unless you were registered, and like then if you're registered, it went on your record, and that's why some girls didn't do it. It was something complicated about that. I can't remember.
Don't you have to go and get like a dancer license or something like that?
Something, yeah, and some girls didn't want to do that.
Well, I could imagine that. I mean, then you're forever sort of like that could come up in all sorts of things down the line. That
I
could
think
come
some
up in
girls wanted to imagine this is temporary.
for
Yeah.
sure. But I would also imagine like once you're officially registered with whatever government agency, like now if you have a divorce or
Yep.
custody issues or anything like that, I would imagine that that's going to come. That'll be the first thing that the opposing lawyer throws in your face.
Right. Right.
Yeah. The
It's
things we do to struggling women. Bestowed on you by Aaron Sorkin was that line.
where we
I
leave off.
want to be in heaven with three in a bed. Said, yeah, he got it. I want it. They got it. I can't have it, but I want it. But it don't matter. She got it, and I can't get it. This is the real problem of manhood. That's just a burden you've got to learn to deal with, son. I nearly said a bourbon you've got to learn to deal with. Like Freudian slip. That was his whole underwear drawer.
You need a little Chris Fairbanks moment. Freudian slip, bourbon. That's funny.
I want a mistress for Christmas. I want a mistress for Christmas. Oh, yeah.
Can I ask what's wrong with his wife? I mean, it's not saying I want anybody for Christmas. Mistress is specific to you already have someone, and this is a side piece. Yes? Am I wrong?
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with his wife. Among the many troubles, trials, tribulations, burdens, and general awfulness that women have to deal with is the fact that you can do absolutely nothing wrong. You can do everything right. You can be a guy's dream girl. But once he's been with you for a while, he's gonna want something new.
I want the strange.
It's just awful. There's a great line in Mad Men where Joan is talking about exactly this when she goes, "Oh, her only crime was being too familiar."
Oh my gosh, that's a good line.
That is absolutely true.
Okay, I'm going to ask you this. Like when guys say looking for strange, and like I understand we all have very different body shapes. You can get voluptuous, you can get skinny, you can get athletic, but this is probably too dirty for this podcast, but the way the specific strange of the vagina feels, is it all that different? Are there major differences? There are? Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well,
and I don't quite know how to describe it. Like obviously like the greasy porno will just say it's either tight or wet, but that's not true.
Okay.
Like if you're talking about just physically, yes, it changes, but then it also like any guy would be lying if he said that he could just focus on the physical. Like it's very definitely it's the emotional, and it's also the adventure. Like what else are you doing? Where are you? What other fantasy are you fulfilling that goes right along with it? And then obviously elevates the sexuality.
Right.
I remember when I was a kid, I was watching like Cinemax late at night. And there was some softcore movie where a woman arrives at her boyfriend's house, or the man that she's trying to romance, and it's his birthday or something like that. And she comes in and she does like the trench coat drop, and now she's wearing lingerie, and she just goes, "Men are very easy to shop for." And they start making out, and then she just kind of snaps her fingers and like cocks a finger, and then one other woman walks in, and you realize like, oh, that's what she meant. That's what she bought for her husband. And I remember like 12-year-old me just going, "Is that the way it works? That's got to be the way it works, right? That's 100% accurate." They know that all we want for Christmas is another woman.
Ben, I'm so sorry. Have none of your girlfriends ever provided you with this gift?
Nope. I've been misled. Once again, porn lied to a young 12-year-old boy. The grossest thing that porn does.
Lies.
Horrible thing. I could totally see guys asserting that too. It's like, oh, porn is way more destructive to men because they lied to me when I was a boy. I'm like, look at all these shattered lives and bodies in their wake. Look at all the sad women who are like disappointed, like, oh, I guess I didn't do everything that he wanted to do. Or have you ever like, I mean, you're pretty direct. Like, have you ever watched like when you were younger, did you ever like watch porn and go, I've got to learn how to do that?
Let me think. I think there was a lot of stuff that I watched where I was like, I'm not doing that. I've been pretty secure in what I will and won't do. I was just like, that's ho shit. I ain't doing that. But there are some things I think I would see and be like, yeah, I can pull that off. I can do that. Yeah.
It's weird because like I don't know how you would solve it, but like it's the 40-year-old man in me that worries about like teenagers and specifically teenage girls. Like you have
Mhm.
the whole library of pornography in the computer in your pocket, or they got to be looking at it going like, is that's normal? Like that's what he's
Yeah,
expecting? Like
I
that's
know.
not what he's expecting. Like it's, I mean, he's being conditioned to expect it in the same way that you are. Like that's where the destruction comes from, and that's that's when that's where me and the church lady get together and have coffee. Like, I
I think
totally
I
agree
didn't
with you.
take porn seriously. I took it as entertainment and
Mhm.
like almost like going overboard to so that you get off or whatever. But
Yep.
I lived way more in my own fantasies and my own personal stories about a specific person I liked. And I didn't worry too much about what the adults on those movies were doing because I also was smart enough to be like, well, that position is for the camera angle. Like no one's enjoying that. That's that you're going to get a cramp and that's you're
Mhm.
cold. Like I was smart enough to know like no one's doing that. And if they
Yeah.
are, they're not enjoying it.
Mhm. The Sidewinder's not fun for her, and it's not fun for him, for God's
Oh,
sake.
God, the pile driver that was popular for a while. I'm like, are we fucking kidding with that? No one's doing that. And if you are and getting off, you need therapy. I'm like, I'd try it, but it would end up like just, I would die laughing at how stupid we look.
The best thing that I read about porn was years ago, some article. It was talking about how like you have to think about porn the same way you think about action movies. Like you're never going to be in a high-speed police chase. You're never going to throw a guy through a plate glass window.
Yeah.
You're going to jump out of an exploding building. You're also never going to do this.
Yeah, no, you're not. And if even if you do pull it off, you're gonna be like, okay, this does it's not as great as it looked on TV.
No. Just
Silly.
immediately awful. Like I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, you look ridiculous. Get up. Let me help you up.
Like if things actually like got good and out of hand, and for whatever reason, like she was into it, and it ended up in like some weird sort of like you haven't talked about it ahead of time, but it
It has to
turns
be
into
organic. Yes.
yeah. Like if that happened, I mean, okay, but then like the aftercare would be just like, okay, so what was that like? I don't know.
Let's never talk about it again. Yeah, you can't be like watching a porn and be like, pause, like, all right, let's, okay, her leg, wait, her leg, you can't do that. It's never gonna work.
That would be a fun way. Like I think if you were a woman who was trying to tame your guy's porn intake, maybe that's the way you do it. Like you find that like whatever video clip he's watched most recently, you haunt his phone, and then you make him say, okay, we're gonna do this.
Well,
All
I'm
right.
definitely gonna have to get another girl in here if that's what we're doing.
I mean, yeah, there's a two of you, but just like I could just like being stern, just like I'm gonna need you to last 22 minutes and 37 seconds.
We're doing this, we're doing this.
You're matching that guy thrust for thrust. And
Yep.
if you can't, we're putting parental controls on the phone. How about that?
I like it. I like this challenge. I also
Oh.
love how we're doing Christmas songs and it just goes. So Sarah Talamash, our previous guest twice, she has a great podcast called Lady Journey, and their recent one they did about cookie parties, about making cookies. That's how the podcast started. It ended up with them talking about sex hotels, and they're like, "What happened to our nice little podcast about a cookie party?" And that's what's happening here. Although it did start, I mean, the song is Mistress for Christmas, so I guess it's not that far of a reach.
Mhm. I had a lady I kind of know came into the bar and restaurant that I work at, and she was just having something to drink. She wasn't getting anything to eat. I was just like, "Are you sure? It's really good." She's like, "Oh no, I can't eat." I'm like, "Oh, there's something wrong." She goes, "Oh no, I'm going to a sex party later."
Um,
What? Oh,
so
okay.
want to have gas and farts and
I gathered that, but my next question was pretty dumb. I was just like, "Oh, what's that?" And she just looks at me and she goes, "Exactly the way it sounds."
yeah.
Oh, okay. All
Okay. It's
right.
funny how she like just felt completely comfortable being honest with you. She could have said, I just ate. I just wanted a drink. But
There's
she's
a
like, I
classic
want you to
woman.
know that I'm going to a sex party.
I don't think it was like that at all. It was definitely not suggestive. There's a type of woman who looks at 42-year-old balding, stained teeth, skinny me, and just goes, "Yeah, you are not an option. I can confide in you."
Also, you're a bartender. That's what you're there for. You're a free therapist who gives booze.
Yeah. But I'll never forget that. Oh, what's that? Exactly like what it sounds. Okay.
I mean, there's gonna be drinks and no clothes and things going in things. I like a very logical description of these things where you're like, well, we're
That
gonna
would freak. Does that make me a prude? That would freak me the fuck out. Like if I couldn't like. There's part of me that's just like sex party. I'm kind of interested, and then the other part of me is like more realistic. Just like, are you kidding me? You would absolutely hate that. You would be disgusted by it. You would be hiding in a corner. You couldn't wait to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, I think it was Paul one time he was watching a porn and there was a threesome or maybe more. It was group sex, and he was like, that room has to smell horrible. That's where my brain goes, like, oh, I bet it stinks.
Can't. No, there's just too much gross things about it. I don't even want to go down that. There's just too much of like giving up your own. And I'm not a control freak, but it's just like there's too much of like having to put up with what somebody else wants in order to be polite at a party like that. Like it's like whoa, slow down. I think you're hurting her. Like, oh no, and I like it, and we talked about it. Okay, all right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be a cop.
I don't want to micromanage the sex party, but I feel like, I would come with like snacks and water, making sure everybody's hydrated. I'm a mom now. It was just not, I would ruin all the sexy time.
Yeah. I think I just like, I know how ugly my male sex ego can get. I don't want to be around any other dude's sex ego. Like I don't want to see them like at that peak where they're just absolutely enjoying themselves and I am Hercules. Like I don't need to see that.
I'm also a giver, and I could see myself just trying to really, really make sure everybody has a good time. And not thinking about my own needs. I'm in therapy for this.
That's a real try hard. Just bring in extra effort. She brought cookies to the sex party.
That should be called the codependency party.
Where were we in this wonderful poem?
They wanted, she got it. Mistress for Christmas. We're almost at the end. You know what I'm talking about. Ha ha.
What do you think he's talking about?
It's exactly what you think it has been.
I can hear you coming down my smokestack. Yeah. I want to ride on your reindeer, honey. Ring my bells. Yeah.
Ring my bells.
Ring my bells. I bought an AC/DC album. I bought Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap on vinyl at a garage sale when I was like 10 years old.
How fun.
And it was like the only, it was a garage sale, in rural Canada. So it was like the only band that I recognized at 10 years old. I was like, all right, it's AC/DC. And I remember taking it home and hearing Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. And it was the loudest, most aggressive music I'd ever heard come out of my parents' record player.
Yeah.
Because my parents got rid of we talked about it before, but my parents got rid of their Bowie and Rolling Stones and Beatles albums and everything like that, because that was going to lead us down a dark path. We were definitely going to be on drugs and thinking about sex way too young if those albums were around. So we had Rod Stewart and we had Supertramp, and then we had a whole bunch of classical music.
Oh, wow, Ben.
I inserted a little AC/DC into that collection when I was 10 years old, and I felt all grown up. Because our neighbor kid played us, it was AC/DC, right? I Got Big Balls as AC/DC for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first AC/DC song I heard. It was his Walkman. He's like, you gotta put this on. I put on Robbie Kerr's Walkman, and it was, I don't even know if that was Bon Scott or Brian Johnson or which iteration of AC/DC Big Balls is, but that was my introduction to AC/DC.
I get them confused. They sound so much alike. It was crazy.
Yeah, I never would have, if obviously if it wasn't rock and roll lore, I probably wouldn't even know to look for a difference between it.
I know. Isn't that bizarre? Like, because they have such very specialized sounding voices too. And to find someone that just, usually when the lead singer of a band like this dies, the band dies or you find a new lead singer, it's not the same. Van Halen found success, but like he didn't die, he just left the group. But this was seamless to me. I know there's some people that, prefer Bon Scott to Brian Johnson or whatever, but I think most AC/DC fans are like, no, it's all great.
And they put it back together real quick. Like Bon Scott died in February 1980, and they were recording with Brian Johnson in April 1980. Like it was a matter of months. They were keeping the ball rolling. And that's not disrespectful, because apparently it was at the urging of Bon Scott's family. They were just like, keep it going. Like he would want you guys to keep going. He wouldn't want this to stop.
Right. Yeah.
And this scary way that guy died. Like it's alcohol poisoning, and he's one of those like rumored to have choked on his own vomit guys, right. Which is like rock and roll, raw, die young, leave a good looking corpse, mate. But when you really read the details, like he was out with an acquaintance. So I mean, that's the way that the article that I read said, like not friend, like he's probably just out there partying with some guy on the London club circuit.
I have the guy's name.
Alistair.
Yeah, Alistair Kinnear.
Mm-hmm. So they're out, and obviously Bon has a shit ton to drink, and they get into Alistair's car, and Alistair drives him back to his flat. I'm not being Madonna. If you want to be understood in London, it's called a flat. It's not called an apartment. Yeah. They go back to his flat, and Alistair can't get Bon out of the car because he's a big dude and he's drunk and passed out. So he's like, all right, well, you can just sleep here. We'll come find you in the morning. Who hasn't done that to their friends? Like,
gosh. I mean, yeah. Corbin's been left in a yard, I think, like on someone's lawn.
Mm-hmm. Like I'm a bartender. If there's a super drunk dude like passed out somewhere, we'll just drag him out. All right, you're gonna wake up by the dumpster.
Oh God, that's so
you won't be the first guy that's woke up on a park bench. It'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's scary, because the article that I read said, that said that Alistair found Bon the next evening. Mm-hmm. So then he got home like late, and then Alistair spends all day sleeping it off, drinking some water, gathering himself. Bon will let himself in or whatever. He goes out to the car and finds that he's still not awake, rushes him to the hospital, and he's pronounced dead on arrival. Like it's just terrifying.
Yeah, and they said the coroner's report stated cause of death, acute alcohol poisoning and death by misadventure. And I hate to be this way, but like, how do we not have a band called Death by Misadventure?
Yeah, what do you consider all the guys who've died by misadventure?
Yes.
Is it Death by Misadventure?
That is a band. That is a death metal band. Maybe it does exist. Maybe I'm just not in the world. But I'm like, how do we not have a band called that?
Yeah, it's definitely that's a band name. That's one of those I love playing that game. It's like, is that a band name? Is that an album title or a song title? Like Death by Adventure to me is just like, hey, it's band name by a nose over album.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Oh yeah, the person who named that is kind of comical to me, like death by a good time, no, a misadventure. Yeah.
It almost feels like the coroner's being bribed, by like the guilty party is like the crown prince or something like that. It's like, we gotta cover this up. I'm just gonna put down death by misadventure.
Yes.
Misadventure is that sword you plunged into his heart.
We should talk about how they didn't know that AC/DC was an English term for bisexual when they
didn't know that either.
And they said the band didn't know this at the time, and so they spent basically their whole career trying to demonstrate that they only like women. And you can see it in their lyrics.
Yeah, wow, they really did. They did a fine job of that.
They said they chose the name after Angus and Malcolm's sister saw AC/DC on a sewing machine, obviously the abbreviation for alternating current / direct current. So it came from like something their sister saw on a sewing machine. It's even more feminine than you'd think, but they just thought it sounded badass. It's electricity.
Sure, that's powerful. And then all of their album titles are sort of based on that. Okay, here's this week's edition of How Dumb Has Been. Obviously, I knew that Back in Black was a very, very big album. I didn't realize that it's the #2 selling album worldwide.
Oh, I didn't know that. Behind who?
Thriller.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Thriller, and then it's Back in Black. Like, it's crazy. Like,
holy, good for them.
I mean, obviously, because I think we're used to looking at like just the American charts. This is the top selling album in America. It's like totally different than the worldwide ones. When you go worldwide, it gets a little weird. I think #4 is that like would you hazard like what's the top selling solo female album worldwide?
Worldwide, okay. Because right now we're in Christmas, and I'm like, I don't know, Mariah Carey's Christmas album.
I would have Mariah Carey. I would have said Madonna.
Madonna is the first thing that comes to mind.
Lately, I would have said Tay Tay.
But Taylor Swift for sure.
Mhm.
I mean, is it? I'm like, come on, Diane, use your brains. I feel like when you tell me what it is, I'd be like, there it is. Yeah.
I don't think you will. It's Shania Twain. Like
No.
I know. Like I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Shania Twain has sold more of a single album worldwide than Madonna, than Beyonce.
That is a trivia question I will get wrong all the time. Are you serious? That is nuts.
I confirmed it in two different sources. So I mean, obviously it's always possible that those two sources were wrong or dated. You know, it could be that I was looking at articles from 2015 or 16 or something like that.
Did you, speaking of Shania Twain, I don't know if you saw this, but a 1976 review of AC/DC's first release, in Rolling Stone declared hard rock has unquestionably hit its all-time low. They
Yep.
didn't they didn't appear on the cover of the magazine until October 2008, but in 2003, Shania Twain wore an AC/DC t-shirt and not much else when she made the cover.
One of my favorite things about researching this podcast is reading the contemporary Rolling Stone articles,
Uh-huh.
like how an artist was perceived like in their biggest moment. And it's amazing the amount of times that Rolling Stone has really sort of fired it wide, like famously with AC/DC, even more famously with Led Zeppelin. They did it with Black Sabbath as well. Like
They get it wrong. They get it
yeah.
so wrong.
And obviously the metalheads will tell you it's just because they don't understand hard rock. Like I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that if you did the research, I'm sure they fuck it up with hip hop. I'm sure they fuck it up with alternative rock and indie rock.
Right.
I have no doubt that they didn't have really kind things to say about Erasure to start off with.
Probably not. Probably nobody. Nobody likes anything new, you know? It's probably older writers at Rolling Stone like us is like, ah, all the new shit's shit. And then all are like, oh, they're legends now.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's hard to look into the tea leaves and read the future. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really Benton, like the Postal Service and Death Cab for Cutie have got back together for a summer tour this summer.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, there's flyers for it all over the internet and everything like that. And you realize like this is how old I am. Like I still think of Postal Service and Death Cab as relatively contemporary bands.
I know, right?
They're absolutely coming together for a nostalgia tour for people in their 40s who are sniffling over the early aughts.
Yes. I know. It drives me crazy that the early aughts is like if you were born then you can buy liquor. You can go to Ben's bar and I'm like, "Whoa. Whoa. I don't like that."
2002 is as far away in time for 22-year-olds as 1977 was for 17-year-old me. You know, it's
Wow.
madness to think about the passing of time that
Yeah, I don't like how fast life goes.
way.
Um, I do want to talk about, did you read about, like everybody know, well, most people know that AC/DC is popular for doing no ballads. Like they have no slow songs and no ballads. And at one point the record producers were like, there was like their fourth studio album was like, you have to do it. You have to make a ballad because at that specific time, all these rock bands were just topping the charts with their ballads, you know? And so they made them try and they even tried to help them. Like, think about like, you know, someone you love that left you, like a girl that left you, and they're like, okay, we're gonna do it, we're gonna try. And they tried, and I wish I could hear it, but apparently they came back and listened to what they had, and then they just walked out and they're like, just keep doing what you do. Like it was so bad. They're like, forget it. They can't
I
do
would love to be in a room full of drunken Australians turning down the power ballad. Healers don't lead me, mate.
it. They just shook their heads and was like, forget it. I love it.
You can get stuff, mate. The Australian accent's really difficult to do. And also, God's mercy on you. If you confuse someone from Australia with somebody from South Africa, you're in a shit ton of trouble. I've done that twice with different people in both directions, and it got aggro very, very quickly.
Yeah, I don't think they like that. It is hard to do, and I heard someone explain it in a way that makes sense. It sounds like when they're saying their vowels, they're saying all of the vowels, the A, E, I, O, and U at all at once. Hello. I was like, it's true. That's why it's so hard.
Today.
Like our mouths and vocal cords and our inflection doesn't is not trained to do whatever they're doing with their mouth.
I think I've still yet to meet an unpleasant Australian, though. I think every Australian I've met has been a delightful person.
Because they get 3 months paid vacation a year. They have better quality of lives. I swear that's it. One of my ex-boyfriends, his brother was in the Peace Corps and he traveled a lot. And when he traveled, he always met Australians in his travel. And it's because they travel a lot because they get all this vacation like paid for. And
Mhm.
he was having this one conversation with these people, and this was back in the late 90s, saying like generalizing each other's culture. Like, what do you think of Americans? What do you think of Australians? And he was like, well, when we think of Australians, we think of Steve Irwin and Foster's beer. And they were like, we don't even drink that. That's not a thing we do. And he was like, well, what do you guys think of Americans? And they just said Jerry Springer. And I was like, they're not wrong. I think they nailed us. As a whole, obviously it's not me and you, but as a whole, they got us.
Yeah, having to vouch for your whole culture is just not a thing.
And this is how Donald Trump became president.
Oh, there's a liquor rep in Houston who comes around and does like classes for bar staffs and everything like that. Her name is Anya, and she's from Russia. And oh, that poor thing.
Oh.
Last time I saw her, she was giving a presentation. She's like, "My name is Anya. I'm from Russia. It's not my fault." So,
I'm so sorry. I actually love the WNBA. I don't know what's going on over there.
I felt really bad for her because like I'm sure that there are like American brand ambassadors that definitely have to be just like, I'm from America. It's not my fault.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. I think every culture has to do that because, the only news that makes it big from all of our cultures are us at our worst. So,
Yeah.
yeah, constantly apologizing.
It's been a bad day. Please don't take our picture.
Yeah. I do want to say that there is an AC/DC tribute band called Hayseed Dixie that plays their songs in bluegrass style, which sounds
Yep.
so much fun.
Have you
And
never
then
heard that?
I know, I'm sure Corbin has. He's probably
Yeah.
screaming through this whole episode. He should be in this seat for this
Yeah.
episode. He's such a fan.
I
And
think
then
Dixie had a moment like 15, 16 years ago. Like they were relatively big. I think they may have had a
really,
hit. Yeah.
you know what? If you played one of their songs, I'd probably recognize it.
Cupid, Thunderstruck, 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 Thunderstruck.
And then the female tribute band in Seattle called Hell's Bells. Yes. Which I was like, I do want to hear females singing like Brian Johnson. I want to see how it translates for sure.
I'm definitely going to check that out. Edit them in.
I'm just looking at. Sorry,
go ahead. About the fist fight with Deep Purple?
No, that's not in my fun facts. Tell me.
So early in AC/DC's career, they were making a name for themselves in Australia, but basically just on like the pub and nightclub circuit. And there was a festival called Sunbury, I think if I'm saying that correctly, that ran for 3 or 4 years, and it was a big like summer festival, and it was going to be headlined by Deep Purple, which is David Coverdale and Richie Blackmore, and they were a big like English band.
Wait, David Coverdale's in Deep Purple?
Apparently
That's the guy
so.
From what? Hold on, the guy from Whitesnake?
This is what I read, and again, like, go ahead, you can yell at me. Go ahead.
No, keep talking, because this is gonna blow my fucking biscuit if I didn't know this.
This is the article that I read, was that there was a version of Deep Purple featuring Richie Blackmore and David Coverdale, and okay. they were playing the Sunbury Festival in Australia. I believe this is 1974 or 1975. The festival was in financial trouble, so in order to guarantee Deep Purple, they paid them $60,000 in cash, which meant that they may or may not have been able to pay the rest of the bands on the bill. So The promoter is concerned about two things. Is he going to be able to pay everybody? And is Deep Purple even going to show up? So in order to cover his bases, he goes and finds AC/DC, and they're playing at some pub like the night before. And he asks them, like, can you come out to Sunbury and just basically just like, we're going to need you to play either before or after Deep Purple or whatever. It was a very up in the air sort of thing. So Deep Purple and AC/DC are loading in together at the same time. One thing leads to another. A punch is thrown. A melee breaks out. Somehow or another, the whole thing gets settled. Deep Purple gets on stage and plays their set, but they cut it short. So as they're loading out, AC/DC loads in and plugs into Deep Purple's equipment.
Oh, shit.
I was looking into your ad, mate. He goes on and rocks out, and evidently then there was a fight on stage. There's multiple different like versions of, like, everybody who's involved in it seems to have their own version of it. But everybody also says that the members of AC/DC and Deep Purple now get together and have laughs and drinks about it.
Oh, that's heartwarming. That's what I want to hear.
Remember that time I got drunk and broke your nose, mate? Yeah.
This is the beauty of like not having social media. Back in the days, stories got to develop and you didn't know what was actually the truth, and it made each individual story better because of it. Yeah. It's lies, but it's better stories. Now we just have videos of the truth and it's boring. It's boring. It sucks because there would have been video of this fight, you know, like somebody would have been documenting it. But I do want to know the sizes. Here's a fun fact I didn't know, that AC/DC are one of the shortest bands. Malcolm Young is 5'3", Angus is 5'2", and Brian Johnson towers over them at 5'5".
Get out.
It's like a little Altuve band. It's adorable.
Oh, man. Now I'm only going to think of them as like the hard rock Lord of the Rings.
I know. I know. Like all the songs pack an adorable punch now.
They're not AC/DC, they're horny hobbits. Horny drunk hobbits playing loud music at me all day long. It's heaven.
This is why I wore this hat today, by the way. My hair actually looked pretty good, but I was like, I have to wear the Brian Johnson hat, right?
You should start getting in costume from now on.
I'm looking at all the members of Deep Purple, and I'm not seeing David Coverdale. Oh, there he is, past members. Okay, he was in there. I don't know if he was an original, but it says past members. Okay, that had no clue. Not that I paid that much attention, but Deep Purple was my dad's all-time favorite band, and that's really all I knew about them. And the first song everybody learns how to play on guitar is Smoke on the Water. But yeah, that was his favorite band.
My dad had Deep Purple on 8-track that they played in old Ford Torino. Yeah.
Yep.
Only 8-track I've ever seen or listened to.
Yeah, I mean, 8-tracks were a big part of my childhood. My dad had a truck with an 8-track player, and he had his big case of 8-tracks in the car, and he would ask me to pull one of these things out, and you just shove it in there. Yeah.
I want to get all hipster like music curator and start insisting that 8-track is really the way to go. It's the most reformed.
The best sound. Oh, that's fun. Oh, okay. Another fun fact, and you probably read this, or a lot of people might know this, but I didn't. And in 1989, the U.S. military blared ACD music at General Manuel Noriega's compound in Panama for 2 days straight, and the dictator surrendered. I'm like, did they play Mistress for Christmas?
I remember hearing that story. We would watch like a black and white TV in the mornings, you know, as we were getting ready for school. So I must have been 9 years old, and I remember following it was fascinating to me that the Americans invaded Panama and they were blaring rock music and some, like, obviously all I knew was that he was evil. Like there was no question in my mind that at 9 years old, if the Americans are fighting a dictator named Manuel Noriega in South America, well, that guy must be scum. If we're sending Rambo and G.I. Joe after him, then he's got to be evil.
Right.
It might as well be Destro. A little later, I was like, oh, there's a lot of cross-pollination going on there. A lot of conflicts of interests, shall we say. I
just want to know, was this their first idea, or was nothing else working? Like, why was this the thing they did? It's so weird.
That's just straight up siege stuff. You're not going to sleep. You can't tell me that the bagpipes were made because the music is beautiful and soothing. I mean, that's obviously like the armies are outside your walls.
It got me thinking, like, what's another good song to play? What's the song that you could play the least amount of times to drive someone to surrender? I'm trying to think of
Oh
like
yeah, yeah. Like if you wanted to song me out of my house, what would you play? Oh
I'm
geez.
thinking 500 Miles by the Proclaimers is a good one.
I still find that song charming.
I do too. I think actually I would be like, I don't know, I'm feeling good.
You got a small dose it. I think probably by the third time through, I'll be like, okay, I surrender.
I know for Rob, it would be Black Velvet by Alana Miles.
Yeah, that is definitely a torturous tune.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a song, I don't know what it's called, but I believe it's a Tupac song where the chorus is every other city we go, I see the same hoes. And it fills me with rage every time I hear it. I don't like it's totally irrational.
Mine would probably be Friday I'm in Love by my favorite band. I just hate the song so much. The song just makes me mad.
I think that's all the talk about porn and Santa can really safely do.
This kind of went off the rails, but in a really fun way. For those of us, if you're very prudish or and you stuck around, congratulations.
I got to put a disclaimer on the front end of this episode.
So, 6 Degrees of Tinted Windows is coming tomorrow, and I will insert it here.
Hey friends, welcome to another edition of 6 Degrees, where this week we're going to connect AC/DC to tinted windows. And where last week there was 0 video, this week it's all video. And through AirPods, because I am still in the process of moving my studio. So first of all, hello. This week almost was the first stumper, because apparently the members of AC/DC don't play with anyone. I mean, I realize they're Australian. I was looking for like Midnight Oil, Men at Work, but no, nothing. In fact, this would have been not just the tinted windows stumper, but it would have also been a Tommy Stinson stumper if not for Axl Rose having filled in with AC/DC when Brian Johnson was sick. And as we've done 8 million times, you can go Axl Rose to Tommy Stinson to the Whiskeytown album Stranger's Almanac to James Iha, who plays guitar in tinted windows, blah, 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 blah. Can you tell I'm bored? Because it's the end of the year, and we've done a whole lot of tinted windows. So that's what I'm looking for right now. I believe Ben and Diane are also going to mention this, or have mentioned it, but I'm looking for a new target for 2023. We need a new band to connect to, be it a supergroup like Golden Smog, be it a regular band like Diane suggested, The Clash, or be it someone that I just want to talk about, like the DBs. It's kind of up to you. We have a Discord, and we also have my Twitter, which is at Jeremy Essig, JeremyEssig. I guess I'm also on Pause or whatever that new thing people are on. I'm on that, same thing. Or Rock the Cash Bar Pod. Rock the Cash Bar 2 is the Twitter for this show. So somewhere on there, give me some suggestions. I need a new target. We're getting sick of going through Axl Rose to Tommy Stinson to get to tinted windows. But that's how we did it this week. We went AC/DC to Axl Rose to Tommy Stinson to Whiskeytown to tinted windows. Back to Diane and Ben.
Mm-hmm.
And we're back. Man, but Jeremy said, he's like, help me brainstorm a new band for 2023 to connect, because we used to do Tommy Stinson. We moved to tinted windows. And he was like, maybe this is something we can talk about on the Discord, which I haven't talked about live, is we have if you download the app, Discord, Rock the Cash Bar podcast is on there. And I want people to get engaged. If you like the episodes and you want to talk about what we talked about or tell us we were wrong about something, yell at us. Come up with ideas for new bands for Jeremy to do. My first, I was like, why not The Clash? Since we are Rock the Cash Bar, a play on that. But I was like, we can talk about it. So let's brainstorm ideas for Jeremy to connect.
The Clash is probably a pretty good one because the members wandered around into several different bands with obviously a whole lot of people. So there's easy like secondary leaps, I would think, for him. I think The Clash is a good idea. Guns N' Roses comes to mind because it seems like everybody played in that band. Obviously, everybody played in Sabbath. So does that make it easier or harder?
It's funny you say that because Sabbath and The Clash shared a drummer. Jeremy just shared that with me. He's like, does anybody know that? And I'm like, besides McCrae, probably not.
I
Yeah.
didn't know it.
Yeah. I think The Clash is a good one. Part of me wanted to be like, I'm gonna make this year hell on you. I'm gonna go hard. Like we're gonna do Billie Holiday, 6 Degrees. I was gonna pick someone to make it like almost impossible. So, or Elvis, that would be fun.
Yep.
Okay, do you have a deep cut this week?
I do. I don't know if we've talked about this song before, but it's from one of my favorite bands. It's from REM, and it's a song called Country Feedback. And Michael Stipe has said that it's his favorite song. It's a song I really like the song. Like it's sad and it's mournful and it's Michael Stipe at his gloomiest.
I need this. I need this. It's crazy what you could have had. Crazy what you could have had. I need this. I need this.
But it's also like his weirdest lyrics. But the reason that I like it so much is because I was a big REM fan when I was in high school, and a bunch of friends of mine, we went over to a girl's house, and she had just finished taking her guitar lessons. So she had, an acoustic guitar, and she learned she could play it. She'd just taken. So I asked her, like, well, can you play a song? And she said, well, who do you like? And I said, well, my favorite band is REM. And she just her face just kind of lit up, and it's like, okay, well, wait till you hear this. And she starts playing Country Feedback. The reason that she started playing it is because the four chord basic progression in Country Feedback are like the classic 4 chords that are the beginner guitar chords. Okay. It's like it's a perfect song to learn how to play guitar, because once you know those 4 chords, you can do a reasonable if you really want to scrunch up your ears and squint your eyes, you can do a reasonable facsimile of just about every song once you know those 4 chords. You can just like, okay, that sounds enough like this that it makes you happy. And once you know those 4 chords, you can just sit there and strum them in any progression, any way you want, and just be like, this is a new song I wrote. Like,
I gotta learn how to play guitar.
Start with Country Feedback. I mean, they're basic chords. It's a real easy strumming technique, and then it's just like, and then you know the song. Like, there's no doubt about it. You're definitely playing that song.
How fun!
So I learned those 4 chords when I was 15 or 16 years old, and I've added 2 since.
All right, good for you.
That's 6 chords.
I'll grab a tambourine and we can start a band. That's what I can do. All right, that's awesome. I'm excited to listen to that. Mine, I feel like I owe this to all the ladies out there because I've talked so much shit about witches and witchcraft, because I think it's like, okay, give me a break. But one of my favorite songs from, so Book of Love was, they hit it kind of big in the 80s with songs like Boy and I Touch Roses. But there was a song on their album which I always loved, and it's called Witchcraft. And it's really just cute, and it's them like doing a spell, kind of like a love spell, but they're also just like naming famous witches. And I always thought it was funny because it's a rap. The way it doesn't sound like any of their other songs, the way they're it's almost like they're rapping and then they sing. But I had a funny story with it. In 7th grade, I was in science with my friend Summer, and one of our projects is instead of just learning to name all the bones in the body, they gave us this project where you can go in front of the class and you can, we had the hip bones connected to the thigh bone, but they're like, but do that, but with a popular song nowadays, or not popular song, a song of your choice, and then like present it to the class. And my friend Summer chose Witchcraft, and did her connection of the bones to the sound of this song. So I'll play Witchcraft here.
Will stew and move. You can take this magic spell. Miss Lucy's in heaven and the steamboat's in hell.
Anyway, it's super cute.
Yes.
All right, so next week, James Brown, Patreon member James Brown, is going to, we're not going to do a Christmas song, which will be a nice little break, but he's going to take us to some country. We haven't done some old country in a while, which is great. And we are going to do Loving Her Was Easier by Waylon Jennings, written by Chris Christopherson.
Yeah, that's gonna be a two-parter. I think we did we do a Chris Christopherson episode, or do we do a song written by Chris Christopherson? I know I've definitely done some Chris Christopherson research, but it's gonna be, we're going Waylon and Chris.
I love it. We do Waylon before? Like, look, I'm looking at a book on my shelf. It's called Waylon: Tales of My Outlaw Dad by Terry Jennings. I should probably dig into that book. Yeah, I don't think we've done anything by Waylon yet.
We haven't. I'm sure we've talked about it before. I mean, there's no doubt that he's been a touchstone on some of the other guys that we've done, but this will be our first Waylon episode. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, check out the Discord app if you guys want to talk to us and talk about music and stuff, okay? Okay?
Do it. Come bother us.
Okay.
And Vogue.
1, 2, 3.
Rock the Cash Bar is produced by Diane Gallagher, music by Chuck Savage and Eddie Hawkins. Special thank you to Jeremy Essig for 6 Degrees and to Sarah Wessling for the Guilty Pleasures vocals. Our website is rockthecashbarpodcast.com, and there you can find links to our Spotify playlist and to our Patreon. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.